Hey, Lee Wolf here. Welcome to Game Face Monday. We are live on this beautiful Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend, and thank you as always for listening in and watching. As always, Mr. Richie Bello gives me the honor of sitting by his side, and today we have back on the show Mr. Larry Feldman, who's the CEO of Career Changers USA. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us back on, Richie and Lee. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Larry, especially with what you're doing. I mean, you're always coming up with new ways to improve our industry, new ways to improve the people that are in our industry, and new ways to bring more quality people in our industry.
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing what you're doing. You know, I'm excited today. I'm more excited than I've ever been. Like, I got up this morning, I rolled out of bed, I almost fell on the floor. I was so excited.
No, wait a minute.
I had Larry on the phone. I had Larry.
You're a Yankees fan. You mean you're more excited than when Jeter ran off all those championships?
Yes.
It's hard
This is why I'm excited, because you hit on something that, 5 or 7 years ago, I had a talk with my friend Brandon Haddison, right? I hope I'm saying the name right, because me and names are not really good. But he told me, Richie, the biggest problem, and he's a training director for a major group, Jim Ellis, right?
Sure. Big group.
In Georgia. He tells me the turn from BDC to sale is terrible. They're like, what? I can't do anything. This guy's upside down. This guy's good. Why'd you waste your time? Okay. Now, we have since then on Evolution, which virtual BDCs. I have a very good friend of mine named Greg Wells. Okay, that was a trainer years ago for Mr. Kane, David Kane. He tells me that same issue. It's even worse than it was, because when you had non-virtual in the showroom, you had a problem. Imagine virtual. Okay. Now, Larry has a solution, and I'm excited to talk about it. Larry, please share with us how that integration from BDC into the sales department, you got it figured out. Go ahead.
Well, it dials back. You can't solve a problem until you understand what the problem is. If the three of us have an ache or a pain, we call the doctor. I think I pulled a muscle. Gosh, I hope I don't have COVID. But if it's your infant or your dog, it's really scary, because something's wrong, but they can't articulate what the problem is.
Right.
Every salesperson will tell you, until you uncover whether it's the down payment, the choice of car, we can't fix the problem until we know what it is. And one of the problems salespeople have is this space in between their ears, their brain, and how badly wired most of their brains are. Your car guys, you know the drill. Here's what car people talk about all day, car guys. They don't talk about sex. They don't talk about sports. It's that there's no business. And then when a car pulls up, three geniuses go, he's not a buyer, send the rookie out.
Right.
Well, that problem is even worse, and it's magnified with the BDC. Your BDC department sells appointments. They don't sell cars. And all they want to do is convince people it's a worthwhile endeavor to come to our dealership. You'll like the product, you'll like the prices, you'll like the people, you'll like the overall vibe. And it can be a struggle. And then when the people show up, salespeople get in their face and go, why'd you bring that guy in? Well, maybe to give you an opportunity to talk to somebody. So if we can find a way to fix that, the analogy I use, Richie, is you always have, for some bizarre reason, a big schism between sales and service. Instead of being best friends and realizing how symbiotic the relationship is, they need us to sell the car. We need them to keep it in great trim, to keep the people, get the people to come back, so maybe we get the next purchase. Well, I mean, I still run into dealers, and I bet you do too, gentlemen, that it's not mandatory to do a service walk.
Yeah.
It should be like breathing.
Yeah.
Here are the nice folks that are going to be working on your car. Well, with
Right.
the BDC, if you think about it, every salesperson, the guys like me that sold a lot of cars, now I didn't need it because I'm a little bit of a control freak, but I know a lot of guys that were in my caliber, what they sold and what they made, hired secretaries or people to help them.
Right.
But wow, what a great idea. We'll get the top guy, somebody to help organize. Well, all the BDC is doing, they're working for you, even though the dealership is paying them to get your people in.
Right.
Why would you ever be antagonistic? Why wouldn't you be up there a lot saying, what can I do to help you? Any information you need?
Yeah. Yeah. What don't you know? Exactly.
Right. I was approached years ago. I went to Canada. I did a big training session, and a guy flew across the country to meet me. His name is Sean Armour. Very well known, very well liked, and very knowledgeable BDC trainer. The guy's terrific. Wherever he goes, he makes a sensation because he cuts right to the heart of the matter. And he said, man, I just cannot tell you how much I enjoyed your sales presentation. In fact, he brought his son, Mason. We had a ball. He said, I would love to do something with you. Well, I've been so crazy the last 3 years with expanding my business. And, I'm in 150 dealers as we speak, doing service recruiting and tech recruiting and title clerks and managers in any position. And so busy training that I just never got around to it. But all I ever hear is how sales and BDC don't work together. Here I have a great BDC trainer. I'm a pretty darn good sales trainer, and Sean and I get along great. So not only am I going to speak and he's going to speak, but we're going to spend a considerable amount of time together twice, in the morning session and the afternoon, showing how BDC and sales can coexist. I can't think of too many things more important now because we've grown these phones and the social media has destroyed the way we think. We don't know how to add and subtract. We don't know how to spell. We don't know how to make eye contact. And it's trickier than ever because the BDC has a tough job. They can't do body language. They can't smile at somebody. They have to convey what they're trying to do with speech and maybe with the tone of their voice. Not that the tone of the voice can maybe even be more important than the words.
Right.
But if the salespeople supported them, if they worked together, hey, I'm not sure what the features are on this. I'll be right up. Let me help you.
Right.
Harmonious. So we're really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. And anybody that's seen me or seen Sean knows it's always fun and it's always constructive.
Yeah.
And we're really excited. We're going to be doing May 22nd at the Grand Hyatt Tampa Bay, and we are
close. Yeah, and actually, I want to dig a little deeper into that. Right when Richie was so excited about this show that he skipped over the sponsor message in the beginning. So I'm gonna run a quick message from Shop Smart Autos on the SSA.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to convey information. We got a kid here. It's like he went to the circus for the first time.
All right, Richie, eat your peanuts. We'll be right back.
Before you spend another dime on marketing and advertising, inspect what you expect. The SSA VIN Retention Report from Shop Smart Autos is the answer. Do you know your retention status? You might be losing hundreds of customers a month, but what if you could keep just a few more? Each retained customer means thousands in revenue, adding up to millions per year. The SSA VIN Retention Report is the inspection tool you've been looking for. Find out what you're missing before it costs you.
All right, SSA VIN Retention Report from Shop Smart Autos. Check it out if you haven't. Dealers are loving it, and it gives you unbelievable insights on the customers you're hanging on to, the customers you lost, and actually where they went.
Wait a minute, just to emphasize how important that is.
Yeah.
In a market where it's so fragmented and people are so crazy about all this outside noise that they're hearing, you can't over accentuate how important this is and how useful this is. I know a few dealers that use it. They swear by it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I can't imagine dealers not finding it an extremely powerful tool. So Connect, Convert, Close, May 22nd. What should people expect when attending?
Well, I'm going to start off the festivities. Talking about, obviously, we'll discuss a little bit about the current climate and the tariffs and all the other things that are out there. And we're going to talk a bit about self-confidence. How, as human beings, we look at everybody around us and we think, boy, they seem more complete, more confident than we are. It's a myth.
Right.
The most beautiful movie stars, the most handsome movie stars, the best athletes are more insecure than we are. In fact, they're probably driven by their insecurity. Richie, I know you're into sports. The greatest of the athletes will tell you that they're more afraid of losing than they are inspired by winning. And that's what drives them, the desire not to fail.
Wow. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about self-esteem. We're going to draw a little bit on the lost art of listening. Boy, are we bad listeners these days. And I'm going to try to break down a lot of key points that salespeople either have forgotten or never learned, and show them how to be as excited as Richie Bello was these days. Because if you don't come to work excited, you're in trouble. I always quote Thoreau, who last century said, most men lead lives of quiet desperation. I can't imagine getting up in the morning and go, I got to go to my job. It's going to suck. Being miserable all day and then going home and rinsing and repeating.
Right.
So, and at that point, I'll, as reluctant as I am to ever stop talking, car salesman from New Jersey, then Sean's going to get up there and he's going to illuminate and elucidate about BDC, about what the problems are, about what the holes are, about the solutions, not to rag on the problem, but to provide clear solutions and a path to being better. And then when we've got everybody really feeling it, we're going to go on stage together and try to conquer the problems that exist when two departments that should be locked in are not locked in.
Awesome.
And we're going to feed everybody, and then we're going to come back and do different things, but in the same concept. So it's going to be, we're going to improve your salespeople. We're going to improve your BDC people. We're going to improve the teamwork, and everybody's guaranteed to have fun and to learn.
And the good thing about this, Larry, is third lead generation companies, right? I have a lot of friends out there in the virtual BDC business. Okay. Richie, my dealers don't even want internet leads from third party because we work them. We get them to the showroom and nothing ever happens. Now,
hold on. Before you finish, isn't that the equivalent in a weird way of having a new salesperson who takes 3 times as many ups as anybody else and he just keeps blowing through them?
Right.
On your statement, it always shows what you made, but it doesn't show what you missed.
Right. So here's the thing. He's got a law sale reports. He shows me internet lead. So I say, well, he says it's terrible. I says, no, there's an opportunity there. There's a very big opportunity there. A lead from a third party is a total different animal than handling. If you're handling it all the same, you got a problem. And you got to look at your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got to look at your turn. Why is it that some stores do well and some stores don't? Because it's about the process, okay? And there is people out there, the BDC department, the virtual BDCs, that they're picking and choosing what they're doing. They're calling. Why? Because of the showroom. And it all has to do with this one thing, mindset. I have a customer in front of me. That guy I'm going to sell. Why am I going to sell him? Because he's got my money in his pocket and I need that money for my mortgage. That's it. And once you put that mindset in there, you're going to close them no matter what it is, because it's just an objection. It's just, well, this, that. Those are all objections. We've been trained to do that. A long time ago, when Richie Bello started, I had the opportunity to meet Jackie B. Cooper. He told me everything is attitude. Sales is attitude, Richie. That's all it is. The attitude.
Right.
If your attitude is bad, you're gonna have a bad salesman.
Richie, I know you read my book, Inner Moron Demons: How to Avoid Them and How to Live Your Best Life. And I have a line in there that every salesperson should have tattooed on their arm so they can see it every day. They're not customers are not annoyances, they're annuities. They can provide you with so much business, and word of mouth is 10 times stronger than any website, any dealer thing, any event. And again, it's a matter of your attitude. It's a matter of an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of following up, an attitude of making it clear. Boy, am I glad you're here. Boy, do I appreciate your business.
Right.
Boy, would I appreciate if you let other people know what I do and how I do it. If they're half as nice as you, I'm going to have a great time because you were just incredibly good. You know, this is not complicated. Why is it, Lee, every dealership on earth, every one has two guys or two ladies standing next to each other. One's making 180,000 and loves it. The other one can't make a living. Will tell you how bad the place is.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
The problem is when they design houses and apartments these days, they're not putting enough mirrors in. People aren't looking in the mirror. It's too easy to blame the president, the mayor, the governor, this and that. Inevitably, we have free reign. It's what we decide to do or not decide to do that determines how successful we are or not. And it's all about your attitude.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And I will admit out loud that that's how I started. I started with pointing the finger, and I started with trying to find who else is holding me back. And then I spent some time with Richie late nights, and I got the who gives a crap attitude, just form a relationship, love these people, listen, absorb, have solutions, keep finding solutions. The sales just started falling in my lap. And all the seniors that were there, and they hated me because I started moving up the ranks. They were there 10, 15 years. I was there a few months. It was, it's a war. It's a war no matter how, you're always at war and at odds with people, with other salespeople. But it was just such an incredible feeling. Then, of course, COVID just totally wiped me out. But but other than that, yeah, it is definitely attitude. And
you made a classic mistake, Lee. I tell people all the time, don't lie to yourself. There's no one there to correct you.
Yeah. 100%. So,
and here's the thing, Larry, with this event that you have, this event's really a game changer. Because this has been going on for decades. There's nobody that's ever brought in the BDC, and everybody knows that the integration of the appointment into the salesperson is not a good integration. Okay? Not a good one. Why? Because of the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's a lot of different processes that you can do. Richie Bello, right? When BDC first started, a lot of people don't notice. I'm going to say it here with you. I was the first BDC dealership, Apple Honda. We did it with the Nicholson Group, Dr. John Minarchik, R.L. Polk. Okay? Well, what we did, we had a board, right? Larry Feldman is coming in today at 3:30. Honda Accord LX. That Honda Accord LX was in the front line with a sold tag on it that said Larry Feldman. Like apples? How do you like them apples?
Well, you just Richie, if you don't mind me interrupting, I apologize, but you're getting my brain working, or what's left of my brain, Lee. Listen, I teach schizophrenia, and people kind of like, look at me. Really? Yep. Because I want you to be the craziest person in every room and the smartest. Because if you're a little crazy, people will buy stuff from you because you're a character. Right. But if you screw up the deal, they never come back.
Right.
So you not only have to be funny and amusing and interesting,
entertaining,
you have to be precise. And one of the problems we have now, and I'm going to sound like I'm 100 years old, but I'm just stating the facts, is we've stopped writing things down.
Right.
Richie, I had a couple conversations with Richie. We re-caught up and we become best buddies. And he'll tell you, he puts up with me, but every time he calls me, I have this thing silenced now. I get interrupted about 10 times. He never mad because he knows I'm taking care of business because I have so many ads running for so many dealers. Richie, I write everything down. I wrote down in 3 different calendars about this meeting. When I thought there was going to be a delay with my training, I let you and Jeannie know. I cannot tell you how many people call me and First of all, they say something. I say, "Are you calling about one of our jobs?" I am. Great. Which one? Because it doesn't even occur. They hit a button and that's it.
Right.
When you're not writing things as effective as you were at Apple Honda, if your thing was, yeah, they're coming in, don't worry about it, it wouldn't have meant anything.
No.
If they tell you the Harvard study that when you write down your goals, they're much more tangible and achievable than if it's ephemeral. Yeah, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So getting back to, we want to combine the new school. You've got to be on the social media. You've got to be ahead of your game. But if you're not writing things down, I was at a dealer once. It was really funny. And he was torturing me. There's Feldman, old school Feldman. Yeah, you're a great recruiter and trainer, but I laugh at you when I see you with the pen. I said, really? Can I ask you a question? Are you having any problems with CD? Yeah, the whole place is shut down. I'm not. I write everything down. Here you go. Here's the people I interviewed if you want to hire them.
Right.
You certainly, my hero is Ben Franklin, and he said something I quote to everybody. When you're finished changing, you're finished. You always want to adapt. But when you lose the basic tenets of writing things down, man, I type it into my computer. I get so many emails a day. I get stuff that's urgent that goes into spam that I don't even know I got. Yeah. So if we combine all the modern technology, dial in AI and all the rest of the stuff, but also wrote things down, I just think everybody would be more effective. And people can tell me I'm a dinosaur, fine. Yeah. But I'm a dinosaur that knows where everybody is, who I sent out, who I have to bill, what I have to do. And it's, if Richie said to me a month ago, I want you on the show with Lee Wolf, and I said, all right, and I didn't write it down, I probably would have forgotten.
Yeah, and I'll one up you on that. And it's kind of a personal thing, but I suffered for many years from panic attacks, crippling panic attacks, and I wouldn't even have to be thinking about anything. It just subconsciously, all of a sudden, you think you're having a heart attack. And then I was offered the idea, I was given the idea of journaling. And let me tell you something.
It helped.
If a panic attack set in and my chest was caving in on me and my breathing stopped, and I took a pen and I touched it to the paper, and the first sentence you would write is, why am I having a panic attack right now? I would say 95% of the times the panic attack was over before I finished the sentence. And it's just that click of connecting your thoughts to that paper, to your brain, and controlling yourself that changed the game for me tremendously.
I can identify, Lee. I thought I was having a heart attack on November 6th, but then around midnight or 1 o'clock, I realized the country was going to be okay.
Yeah.
The reason I said that, Larry, is because I've gone from store to store. I do a little.
Wait a minute, Lee's still laughing.
Yeah, sorry.
Traveling, and you know what I've noticed when a customer says I have an appointment, they right away think, a lot of people think it's service. I've heard customers as I have an appointment, everybody looks at themselves in the showroom like, oh, what's your name? Customers want to be acknowledged like everybody else.
Richie, you've been doing this as long as I have, and we've been doing it a long damn time.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen a manager at a desk, maybe it was you or me, okay, say, how you doing with Mr. Jackson? Who? The guy you had yesterday. They don't remember what they did this morning.
They don't remember, correct.
Lee, I'm not bragging, and I'm not as sharp as I was 20 years ago, but I still have a memory like an elephant. I did Norman Brayman's store on Okeechobee Boulevard, and I think I set a world record for sales recruiting. I interviewed 104 people in 2 days. I'm not making this up. He's got an auditorium behind the Rolls-Royce and the BMW place. I had 53 people I worked in with no name cards. Wow. But I still act like I have no memory. And to this day, I write everything down on my 3x5 cards. Hold on. I don't want you to think I'm making this stuff up.
No, we believe you.
Okay? And I
love the CRM that we had.
I just told the story where a guy came up to me and said, you must really be cheap. I said, why? He says, well, everybody in this dealership is laughing at you. The rumor is you're making more money than the owner, and you look so stupid writing on 3x5 cards. You must be cheap. Why don't you buy a BlackBerry or something? I said, because I'm cheap. I wasn't going to tell him my secret, that I kind of liked the fact that the customer thought he was smarter than me and had a psychological upper hand.
Absolutely.
This is like shooting pool. It's not just enough to hit the cue ball into the ball and put it in the pocket. You've got to put spin on the cue ball to set up the next shot.
Yep.
And so many of the people among us, we don't mean any disrespect, and we're trying to make them better. There's no correlation between what they said and what they're going to say and what they want you to say. And that's why so many people are dissatisfied with car salespeople.
Right.
If we listen more than we talk, if we actually listened to listen rather than just, to come up with some kind of cliched answer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Lee, I said it in class today and they laughed, but I've heard it my whole career. A salesman gets told by a customer he has 2 kids, but he's not in listening mode. And 20 minutes later, he says, you have any kids? Yeah, I have the same 2 I had 20 minutes ago. I didn't put them on eBay. They're still my kids. Everybody laughs, but it's not funny when you don't think people are listening to you. And then you turn around and say, you're really important to me. Plus, when you don't write their name down, either you call them the wrong name or you forgot it completely and you look like a deer in the headlights. Right. This way you can cheat. You forget their name. And if they forget your name, you already gave them a business card.
Yeah.
It's 101. And yet I just had 15 people, I think 13 went mystery shopping in Lafayette. That's how they pronounce it. Not Lafayette, Lafayette, Georgia. And not one person, not one, got a business card up front. Half of them didn't get asked their name. Half of them didn't get called by their name. And then they wonder why some of us are successful and some of us are starving.
Right. Yeah. And retention is in the dumper. And speaking of which, we're just going to break away for 1 minute with JP for a retention minute.
Hello, JP Burkemper with Vinsight here. Retention is not just important for your bottom line, dealers. It's a key metric that OEMs are watching very closely. See, manufacturers track how well you retain customers because it directly impacts their market share, brand loyalty, and long-term profitability. And guess what? Your retention performance affects your dealership's benefits as well. Things like floor plan assistance, co-op marketing dollars, and even the resale value of your franchise. So if your retention numbers are weak, you're leaving money on the table. Strong retention means better factory support, more favorable allocations, and a stronger standing with the brand. So OEMs know that lifetime value of a customer is a lot bigger and stronger, greater than a one-time sale. We all know that. And that's why they're investing heavily in retention programs. So if you're not actively engaging your customers, they're going to find a way to do it for you. So the question becomes, are you controlling your customer relationships, or is the OEM? See, the dealerships that are winning are the ones that take ownership of retention instead of relying on the manufacturers to do it for them. With Vinsight, you sell them, we keep them coming back.
I am awake now from that music.
That is some music.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah,
that wakes me up all the time.
That is one really strong program. And I just had the pleasure of speaking with his father, Paul, another very, very sharp guy, another really terrific program.
Awesome. Yeah. They're pretty cool. And
I think Paul's going to try to join us in Tampa.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So May 22nd, connect, convert, close. There's an early bird.
The website is connectconvertclose.us.
And I'm going to say this. I'm excited. And I talked to Lee and the marketing people and all that. We are doing a press release out, PR Web, because I'm going to be there. Okay. So I want to really.
Wait a minute, Richie. If you're going to do a press release, I want to protect you legally. You have to have a disclaimer at the bottom indicating that anybody that comes to this is going to make a lot more money. They're going to be in a higher tax bracket. They're going to need a better accountant. I don't want anybody saying, now I'm in trouble because I made so much more money. Let's make sure we warn them ahead.
So you're going to be talking to the people that you know in my team. You're going to be talking to Gene Fontana and that to do a press release. I want to bang out a press release because the thing is not out there. I only use PR Web, which goes out there to the entire industry. And I have a lot of press releases. I believe a lot in doing that. And that really makes tremendous change. And we're going to come up with a story about what this thing's about. And I'm going to tell you something right now what this thing's about. This thing's about integration of your sales department into these BDC appointments. What I think it is and how it's going to be much more successful than what you're doing now. This is a great learning curve. Why? Larry, right, is a great, not just sales trainers, fix ops trainers. He's a recruiter. So he sees it from his.
Richie, your audio faded. You may want to say the part where I was great again.
Well, where Larry is, he's a great trainer.
No, Lee, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
But not only in one area, in a lot of different areas. Okay. And let me tell you something why he's good at fix ops. Because fix ops is nothing more. A service advisor is nothing more than a salesperson. Because when you take a guy that wants to go to sales and he's from fix op, he becomes a top salesman. Okay.
But Richie, they're salespeople. The only difference is we complain about not having any customers. They got 50 lined up every morning.
Exactly. So that's the thing. And the Canadian, what was that gentleman's name?
Sean Armorer.
Sean is very good at BDC. If not, Larry would not even be entertaining it. Okay. He must be like Ace, like an Ace, I call. Let me just call him Ace.
And a quality person on top of it.
And then this gentleman has the process of between the both of them, Mr. Dealer, you got to fly your people out there. Between both of them, the integration, what we're missing in the automotive sector, not now, decade ago.
Richie, I got more information just to throw at you. First of all, we priced it to be very inexpensive. I mean, it's almost a joke how little. And what we're stressing is, since it's one day, it's not 5 days. We're stressing to get as many managers, sales managers, BDC managers out, because unfortunately, as we've all learned, when your managers aren't involved, it dissipates. Because the salespeople come back in, they're all excited, and it falls. But if we can show you a way to make your BDC and your sales team both individually and in tandem more successful at the moderate price we're charging.
Yeah. And there's an early bird on that, right?
It's so silly. I'm anxious to get as many people into this as possible, because once they see, my retention is almost 100%. When I deal with people, they want me back. They feel the energy. So we hit it at 297, which is for nothing. And if they do it early, it's 247. You'd be foolish not to take advantage of it.
I really, it's so low. Do you have any sponsors?
We got a bunch of sponsors.
Good.
We've got Trade Pending, who are giant in the industry. We've got Drive, HRIS from Canada. We're working on a bunch. We're in the process of signing up a bunch of people. A lot of people want to get involved because they know me. They know Sean. Peter Smith is helping us put together a lot of this. Everybody knows Peter. I'm lucky enough to have a lot of good friends like you and Lee and Gene that like me and believe I'll come in as strong as possible. And
Yeah. And anyone that's caught you on Curb Your Enthusiasm would definitely want to be a part of this. So you have me laughing.
He's a little more.
That's a really good product.
The only thing, everybody loves Larry David. The guy's a comic genius. The only negative for salespeople with Curb Your Enthusiasm is death for salespeople is cynicism. Yeah. And magic for salespeople is naivete. A lot of the guys think, slick salespeople make all the money. The slick salespeople are the guys that made $4 million on the .com and now they're living in their mother's basement. They'll be bankrupt for 32 years.
Yeah, right.
The reason I outsold everybody everywhere is I looked at everybody and went, I'm selling them a car, rather than the idiots that stood next to me. He's not a buyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like to believe I'm almost as funny as Larry David. He's probably funnier, but I'm a lot less cynical. Yeah. I believe positivity will breed more, and we both know what negativity will breed a lot more.
Right. And it's all about the mindset. But the biggest thing with this product that you have at an event, God bless you, and you're having all these things, the biggest thing about this product line is one thing, that it's been a problem for a while. So you got these BDC virtuals, they do events, but nobody talks about the sales perspective, how to integrate this appointment into your sales department.
And then Richard, it's useless. It's useless if this piece and this piece need to fit together to work. and they're not fitting together, it doesn't matter how good this department is or this is, because they're not integrating. Yeah, I got a great computer. I don't know how to turn it on.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got a great website. All the links are broken.
Right.
We're trying to connect all the dots, and it's going to be fun. Anybody that's been to my training knows my thing is, if you're not going to have fun, why show up? Nobody's going to come out of here bored.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's unbelievable.
It's
Larry, I'm so impressed with what you got going on, brother. And I'm so happy to be a part of it.
Would you
I will
maybe
be there.
talk to my wife? She doesn't seem as impressed by me as you are.
I'm very impressed with you. But then again, I've always been impressed with you.
The feeling is mutual, and it's a pleasure dealing with Lee too. You guys always come across with the right attitude, with the right energy. And boy, I look forward to working with you on a number of projects, Richie, as we've discussed. But I'm really excited about this because it's going to bring tremendous value. And if it clicks the way I think it is, it's going to be the first of many events, because it's not like this problem is going to get solved with one shot.
Absolutely. And, Larry, you're so good at what you do. And you're such a good friend that we want to bring you into this podcast. Anything you need, whatever you need, consider it your podcast. You know what I mean?
Thank you so kindly. It's very much appreciated.
All right. And just to the audience, another quick reminder, Let Data Take the Wheel. It's on Amazon. Richie's fourth book, StopSoldierSuicide.org, is the foundation that every single penny over cost. Richie's not making a dime on this. No one is, except Amazon, I guess, for the printing. But every penny over cost is going to StopSoldierSuicide.org. And that is the only organization in the country that deals with solely soldier suicide, which is a major problem. And we owe almost everything, I would say, to our soldiers. I'm sure
not almost everything, my buddy.
Everything, yeah.
Freedom is not free, and people that are willing to fight for this country and to sustain it.
That's it.
Sadly, a lot of people don't appreciate these efforts, and they don't appreciate our country. But Richie and I and you have dealt with a lot of people from foreign countries. And isn't it amazing that they come over here and they're almost universally successful because they can't believe the opportunities that are in front of them? And yet there's so many people in this country that don't appreciate the freedoms that we have. Listen, I have a real solution for all those folks. Don't waste your time protesting. Go to some of these countries you love, like Cuba, and Venezuela and Russia, and please express your opinions and see how you're welcomed by the authorities. Then we'll show you what authoritarian really is, rather than the nonsense you hear these people throw around.
Yeah, see how it is buying a car over there.
There's not. In Cuba, you can't buy a car. I'm Cuban, so I know.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute, Richie. That's not true. I got you a great deal on that 63 Falcon and only had 3 million miles on it.
Right. That's what Cuba's got. 1959. The last cars in Cuba were 1958. Okay. After the revolution, no more cars to Cuba. Okay.
Yeah, and most people think Richie's Italian, but no, he is Cuban.
I am Cuban.
He is not the Godfather, but yeah.
But
I just came to this country in '66, not like today, where there were no Latinos. They were only Italians. So I grew up, with the DeFinos, with the Ruggierios, with the Lombardis. I grew up with those guys. Yeah. Ricardis, I didn't have it was different.
So your theory is the country didn't turn around. Wait a minute. So your theory is the country didn't turn around till Cheetah Rivera and Richie Bello showed up.
Well, no. The Cuban influx was not 66 when I came. I was 3 years old in 66. That was not the Cuban whole thing. Then the evolution.
Whoa. Even at 3, you were already selling the kids and the other cribs.
I was doing something.
You were marking it up, Richie.
Yeah.
In the 80s, that's when the Cuban thing blew up like there was no tomorrow because of the boat lift. Forget about it. Then they really scaled, And by the way, the Cuban community is in Miami today, but back then it was not in Miami. It was in Tampa, Ybor City.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the Cuban community landed.
Yeah.
Then the evolution went to Miami. It was not in Miami at all.
Did they happen to land on May 22nd? Because that's like a great anniversary for, connect, convert, close. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Early bird special.
Well, that's a great. May is great because the season is on its game in the Northeast. Okay. And man, dealers get a place here. Important. They have a lot of sales events and all that. This event is a game changer. This is a better event because this is something we need in the industry. Okay. And without getting this in the right place with dealers and all that, this is something we need because dealers, that we've always had this problem. General managers, we've had this problem. Sales managers, we've had this problem. Salespeople should go to get their mindset together because this is a mindset thing. Somebody's in front of you, okay? And the BDC brought him in. He's there because he has some interest. Like for an example, what I tell people? When I start trying to sell people, I says, will you at least think about it? If somebody tells me, yes, I would, I have a deal. Okay? You have a deal. Everything starts with a conversation. Sales guys, why would you be upset when somebody's putting more people to have conversations
Richie, hold on for a second. Do you agree that I don't care what color you are, what religion, how old or how young, we're all the same in that we love it when people pat us on the back and thank us. Imagine salespeople going into the BDC and saying, boy, that lady, that guy you brought in was really nice. What a great job. Thank you so much. Hey, can I buy you some lunch or something? It was terrific.
Right.
Rather than animosity.
Right.
Yeah. And it's really all about this, is everything starts with a conversation. First of all, when I started in the car business, I started International Honda. John Lindsay, he told me, this is a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more cars you're going to sell. Don't even just talk to showroom traffic. Talk to whoever you can about it. You know what I did? I had a goal. Talk to service customer, parts customers. Who cares? I'm doing nothing. What am I doing? Hanging out there at 7:30 in the morning with no customers, doing nothing, not speaking to nobody. I like talking anyway, right? So I started talking to everybody, okay? And once that scaled up, I really started doing it because people start knowing you.
Right.
Knowing you. If that customer, that BDC made an appointment, says, I'm upside down, I can't do it, I can't do this, and you treat him right, all right, and you do the right thing by him, you're marketing and branding for his family to come in and buy a car. You can't get him out, but he might have his daughter that's going to college that needs a car soon, or he might have somebody. So treat everybody like it's a deal.
Absolutely.
Because if it's called, what is it called? The assumption close. If you don't put in your head, that's a deal, it ain't never going to be a deal. Mm-hmm. It's called assume the sale. If you assume the sale, you're going to get the close.
Richie, you can initiate the sale. When most of these dealerships I go into, they have a shirt that says the name of the dealership. I said, if you've got that on your shirt, don't be afraid to walk up to people in a parking lot and say, listen, excuse me, you're going to think I'm crazy, but your car is beautiful. If you ever decide to sell it or trade it in, boy, could we use that car. Here's my card. Worst they could do is throw the card in the trash. You only need a couple more deals a week, a month, and ask those people for more business or repeat referral. And all of a sudden, you've got a viable business. People forget. It's a cliche, but it's true. We're running our business within somebody else's with no debt service.
Right.
I had a partner, and I still have the same partner. So I have a couple of partners, two of them. One guy tells him, Richie's always assuming the sales. He didn't tell you that he was going to close them, but you got to understand how rich he is. And that happened 9 years ago, right? You got to understand how rich he is. When Richie sees something, to him, it's not like a lead. To him, he's assuming the sale. Because that partner, he became like an investor and all that in my brand and all that. He thought, well, why is Richie telling me this? He doesn't understand. So my other partner says, you don't understand him. He will go into everything like it's a deal.
Right.
Like a deal, like it doesn't matter. That's a deal. It's called the assumption close. That's the way I was trained. I assume that everything is a deal. And then I go what do you want? Me to go in with a head like, oh, no, it's not a deal?
This is the problem.
Imagine?
Yeah.
Just imagine that. Well, that same partner is one of my best friends, and he's a really big investor in Richie Bello. Okay,
Your perception colors your reality. And when you look at people and you're excited, they get excited. If you look at them negatively and you see there's nothing there, they see there's nothing there either.
Exactly. Exactly. Like sometimes I call Lee up for half hour, 40 minutes, and I wine and dine and I this shit. Yeah. But when I'm in front of somebody, he knows game's over.
Right.
Game is over. I'm a business person. There's always shit coming at me, right? Game's over. I'm in front of somebody. Trust me, the game's over. Not too long ago, Arthur Early was in the store. He says, Richie, I want you to go to my store and meet this guy this time, right? So I think it's Westbury Nissan or something. So I meet this guy. I'm watching television. I watch the TV, and he's watching sports. And he says, Richie, I love sports. I said, oh, okay. He says, do you like sports? I says, yes, I do. He says, what's your favorite sport? I said, the sport of selling. Do you want to play? The owner was in back of me. When I took him from A to Z, meet, greet, demo, the whole show, he was lost. I says, okay, now you know how I play. Now show me. I was just doing it for fun. That's all. Show me how you take a customer. The owner pops out of his office and says, Richie Bello, I'm going to tell you how he takes a customer.
Hey, Rich.
The customer tells him I'm not buying, and you know what he does? Okay, I'll see you later.
I'm gonna piggyback on you. A dealership group in New York, upstate New York, hired me, and the owner said it was a big recruiting training thing. I must have had 40 people in a class. So he rented a hotel room, and he said, I heard your classes are fun. I'm coming. Okay. So he sat in the back. He laughed. He took 1,000,000 notes. He says, I'm taking you out for lunch. Richie, I'm the world's cheapest date. We wound up at 5 guys. Okay. And while I'm standing in line and he's tapping me on the shoulder, remember, I'm buying. Well, I got it. I said, I ordered a hamburger, plain, large drink, no fries. I'm okay. Can I ask you a question, though? She says, sure. I said, what are you driving? She said, why are you asking me that? I said, well, the guy behind me owns 5 dealerships. Richie, we sold her a car. This isn't complicated. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah.
And that day, you know who was with me that day? Lee's son, his oldest son, right? He was like laughing about the whole thing. And he comes up and he tells everybody about that, right? And I just one day, because my friend Arthur told me, and he's having a problem with this one guy. So Arthur says he goes through 50 ups, bro, doesn't sell one car. I mean,
well, that's not the salesperson's fault. That's management's fault.
Yeah. And the manager,
that many resources go south, that's a management mistake. That's not charting what you're doing.
Right. And I had to go there just to help out my friend. He was a finance manager, Arthur. And he tried to tell him, I says, listen, he says, well, Richie, would you come? I says, no, I would tell you what trainer to get. Somebody that's going to concentrate on that does that for a living versus me. Because I have ShopSmart, I do data, I do different things today. I can't be here. And he says, well, no, because, those guys are like, I don't know. And, he never did anything. And I referred him 3 or 4 people. This happened it was 2020, maybe 2021. And they didn't do anything. And you're right, Larry. That's part of management, and that management is not there no more, gone. And why, I'm wondering why you're not there. If you would have hired somebody, and it's not your money anyway, who cares if it's $5,000 or $6,000 a freaking day? It doesn't matter. But you're able to get on ROI, because at the end of the day, the dealership and any B2B person cares about one thing: ROI. Sure. That word ROI, that's what they care about. They don't care about what you're charging them. They care about how much money am I going to make with this product.
Right.
That's it.
Absolutely. All right. The man is Larry Feldman. He's also known as the non-cynical version of Larry David, and more importantly, Career Changers USA, the CEO. The event is Connect, Convert, Close, May 22nd. If you want to grab an early bird price on that, do it before April is up. What's that website again, Larry?
Connect, Convert, Close.us.
And why didn't I remember the website, Larry?
Oh, because you didn't write it down.
That's exactly right. And thank you so much for being on the show today. It's always a pleasure.
Pleasure was all mine, gentlemen. Thank you so kindly.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Larry. God bless.
Have a good day, gentlemen.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.